Good evening and welcome to the first Fallout Bar of everybody's favourite tournament, everybody's annual pilgrimage to Blackpool as we have come to an end. Day one from the Winter Gardens is in the books. And did we have some surprises? Potentially. Yeah, I'm going to call them some surprises. What a night of darts. How good is it to be back at the Winter Gardens? You will notice tonight I am flying solo for this Fallout Bar. Over the coming nights, I will be joined by Jack Gobby Garwood and by Cam McFarlane. But as everybody is either at the cricket or in Blackpool today, I am on my own. So please, the guys in the chat room get involved. So we've got a few in already. Good evening, Matthew. Evening, Connor. Hiya, Jack. Sean is in there. We've got a few in the chat room already. Please keep the chat coming. Give me your opinions on how the evening went tonight, who you thought played well, who did terribly. And then later on, we will get into some predictions for tomorrow. What a start. I'm tinkering around. Oh, this is going to look all right, I think. I'm trying something new tonight. I'm very conscious that you are all currently looking at my face in a very, very large window. So let's have a little look, see if we can get some results up here. Let's get rid of that one. Right, let's remove that. And let's see if we can't present a little bit of graphics to get us through. Is the Fallout Bar only for Sky Sports Majors? Yeah, it tends to be. We do it, I suppose, let's say for all the bigger tournaments, we try and host a bit of a Fallout Bar, get some reaction, talk about what's went on, and have a little bit of a chat about what's going on tomorrow. So there we go, just connecting to my Google account, and let's get a bit of a graphic on screen if we can. And we'll have a little bit of a chat about how things went tonight. So there we go, we've got some results in. We'll have a little, I suppose we can go in order. We'll have a work through them in order. We'll have a chat. Hopefully we'll get some input from the chat room. We have got some interviews from the players so we can hear about how some of those guys have got on and what their feelings are as they settle in to this tournament. So good evening, Lee Boyce from the press room. Hello, I bet it's very, very busy there. I don't know if the weather's good in Blackpool. I hope it is, because by the back end of next week, I will be there, ideally on the beach in my Speedos, sunning myself for my annual summer trip through to the northwest. So we opened the 2023 Betfred World Matchplay with Joe Cullen against a debuting Mike De Decker. And I thought this was a bit of an interesting game. I'll be honest, some of my predictions, I put my predictions out on Twitter earlier today. I'm going to bring them up just so that I can remind myself. I'm not sure I want to be honest, for some of them. Let's have a look. How do I spell my name? Dan Simpson. Here we go. So I did pick Joe Cullen to win this one. And I think an awful lot of people did as well. I had him slightly more comfortable, if I'm honest in this. So I picked a 10-5 win for Joe Cullen. And he just had to work for this a little bit more than I thought he would. Obviously, he did get off to a good start. I think he certainly looked the more comfortable player, but it got a little bit tight in the middle, and there was a period of this game where Mike De Decker was not letting Joe Cullen get away with anything. Cullen had to be there and he had to close out every game because Mike De Decker was consistently right on his shoulder throughout the game. I think it might have done, Nels, yeah. So yeah, I not a huge amount from me on this one because it sort of went as I predicted it would. You know, it was nice to see Mike De Decker, you know, put up a good fight. Obviously, debut, he's got an awful lot of talent. I think when we went into the interval 4-1 Cullen, it looked like the writing was on the wall from there. But then as we went on, there was just a few signs that Cullen's potentially a little bit vulnerable, and that Mike De Decker had a bit to show, and certainly had some fight in him. But I think his doubling let him down, and Cullen was just there all the way through. I think with that lead, certainly that he'd built up in the first session, De Decker never really was able to build up the head of steam that he needed in order to try and make a real game out of this. So with that, it seems like a good time to hear from the winner, and let's have a little listen to what Joe Cullen made of this evening's game.
Yeah. To be fair, when the schedule came out, I wasn't thrilled about it, to be honest. I'd much rather the tournament get going and and then play a little bit later on. But it's only a problem if you lose, I suppose.
Looking at the game itself, do you feel your experience was the key in that one? Mike obviously making his debut. You're a seasoned veteran of this now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I said in previous interviews, I sort of approach it as managing it in sessions, whereas I think Mike was looking at it as if to try and get 10 legs before I do, and it's not as simple as that. I know it might look on the face of it, but it's not like that. He won the ball, and I was saying in my head, win the first session, whether it be 3-2, 4-1, whatever it be, and that's what I did, and I thought I'd push on from there.
Yeah, I think he's almost echoed, I think, my exact thoughts on that. Obviously, Mike De Decker did win the bull. Joe Cullen was going to have to break in order to get this match won. But the absolutely dominant session in that opening session, 4-1 up at the first break, just put Cullen too far ahead. Now, I suppose we'll go in time order, and we'll approach the second game of the night. But I think, without a shadow of a doubt, the match of the night, I think we'd all picked, or many of us had picked, the final game as being our potential match of the night tonight. But this was an absolute banger. Now, again, marking my own work, looking at my predictions that I put out on Twitter earlier this afternoon, I picked this as a Rob Cross 10-6, and I couldn't have been more wrong. We saw, I'm going to call it a vintage performance from Daryl Gurney. Daryl Gurney showed some of the grit that has taken him to 2 major titles. He came out looking absolutely superb. I mean, he took the opening leg in leg 1. Gurney managed to break the cross throw, and from that point onwards, this game was a bit of a battle. I mean, Gurney went out really quick. Cross, I think off the top of my head, he had to take out 96 to avoid a whitewash. I think if he hadn't took that 96 out from memory, Cross would have gone into that first break 5-0 down. And I think Gurney looked relatively comfortable in those first few games, but we definitely saw a match made of this, and Rob Cross made a game of this. That going in at 4-1 down, he really came back and stepped it up. Won a few on the bounce, and then clawed his way back to 6-all, and then the 170 checkout, reeling in the big fish to get that match back to 7-all. And I think at that point, everybody realised we're watching something a little, this is a proper Winter Gardens match play game, this, because that 170 was absolutely superb from Rob Cross. And I think at that point, I was in the WhatsApp groups, and I was on Twitter and trying to get the view of the rest of Planet Darts, and I thought that the big fish was the turning point in that game. Cross had been behind all the way through that match, but then I just thought, it'll swing here. And I wasn't sure that Daryl Gurney would be able to dig in and fight off that Cross comeback, because at that point, Rob Cross looked really strong. And again, they just sort of exchanged some breaks. Cross got in front, I think, for the first time in the match at 10-9. and it had, for me, had all the makings at that point of the perfect comeback. He's started that comeback with the big fish. He's finally took the lead for the first time in the game with one leg to play. And again, I thankfully didn't join our partners Betfred and throw a few quid at them, because I think I definitely would have been wrong even at that late stage in the game, because Daryl Gurney just dug in, and I think it was a really professional performance. That 2.64 checkout to level up, and then just completely ruthless finish, that 96, and from there he just served it out and took it on. Like really, really solid professional performance from Daryl Gurney. I think it opens the draw up a little bit more. Rob Cross is the first seed to fall, number 5 in the world, and away he's gone. He's no longer in the match play from the first round. That was, in fact, the first time Rob Cross has ever lost in the first round at the Winter Gardens. Former match play winner, of course, in 2019. The one time that he did lose in the first round, it wasn't actually at the Winter Gardens. It was during the lockdown, and Rob Cross had to compete that match, well, as did everybody else, behind closed doors at Milton Keynes. Good evening, Bob. We've got a few more joining us in the chat room. Please weigh in with your opinions and thoughts and views from tonight, because, as I say, you will notice I am, for this the only night, I think, throughout this whole tournament that you'll just have one of us here, but just me on my own tonight. So the more that we get from the chat room, the better. And following that, again, we've got some more interviews. Phil is at the venue, and let's have a little listen to see what Daryl Gurney made of that night.
No, I was all I said to myself, don't panic, because I don't even remember what happened all them years ago. All I remember is looking at 3 darts with double 12 to make it like 17 all, and I missed it and then he beat me. And to be honest, I was like, I thought that if I could get over that game, I think I could win the tournament. But yeah, no, I mean, it just shows you. And all I know is that he played the next day and he was 10-0 up. Is that right?
9, I think.
9. Well, that's how much interest I had in the next day. But no, honestly, Rob Cross, one of the greatest players, and he's still improving, and he's up there now. I don't know, what is he, number 5 in the world, number 6 in the world, and he's one of the best players to beat, and I beat him. So it just shows me that I still got it, even though I'm doing it now. I think this is my 8th year here now in the match play. I still got it, and I can still roll with the best.
Very, very interesting there from Daryl Gurney, and it did. And we'll get on. Well, I suppose we'll get on a little bit in the next 2 matches to the other potential big names in that quarter, but opens up the draw. I mean, it has to open the draw up slightly with the number 5 seed going out. I appreciate that the man we'll come to next, Price, is in that sort of that next round, but you can't not say the draw's opened up a bit if we've lost the number 5 in the world and the number 5 seed. So we will move on to the third game of the evening. And again, not one that I can really enthuse myself with too much, because it wasn't a really exciting game, let's be honest. It was a very professional performance from Gerwyn Price, and he did exactly enough and exactly what he needed to do to win. I think the 10-3 scoreline is slightly flattering. And I think it was more a case of Stephen Bunting not being able to play his A game than Gerwyn Price bashing him up with a 10-3 win. Just having a quick look at the statistics from the game. Gerwyn Price averaged, where's his average? Let's have a look. Averaged just shy of 97, which, like, let's not mess about. It's still a very, very strong average, but Gerwyn Price is going to need to find another level if he's going to replicate, the final that he made last year. If he's going to go on and do incredibly well in the tournament, then he's probably going to have to kick on from that a little bit. What I would say is Dublin was sensational from Gerwyn Price tonight, 45% on his doubles tonight. And that is, at this level in a game like this, absolutely massive. Stephen Bunting right back on 33%, but only got 9 darts at a double in this whole game. There was a 4-point swing in the averages. You know, Gerwyn Price didn't massively outscore Stephen Bunting, but he kept ahead of him when he needed to. And he just didn't allow Bunting to put him under pressure at all. And every time there was potential for Bunting to put Gerwyn under pressure, he just kicked him back. Once he was ahead, I think once, I mean, Price took 7 legs on the bounce from 3-all. And I think once he took, you know, once we got up to 6-3, certainly 7-3, I think Bunting's head had gone a bit. And I just think Bunting wanted to be as far away from that stage as possible. I think he, like the rest of us, thought that game was pretty much done and dusted. Let's get a little bit more. Let's get some view from last year's finalists and see what Gerwyn Price made of his match tonight.
Probably just trying to get some rhythm, but yeah, I think Stephen was pulling some darts out a little bit slower than he usually does as well, which, you know, fair play, people have to do what they've got to do to try and win, but yeah, I think it sort of affected him a little bit more than what it did to me. What is it? Well, I notice it, but I have to try and take an extra pace, you know, and take one more step towards the ball, because I like to flow, try and as I'm walking in, and then I bring my dart up, and then yeah, you start thinking, oh, he's taking him out a little bit slower, then he takes him out quicker. He's just trying to manage the game, and you know, he can do what he wants to do. I think personally it affected him more than me, or it affected me a little bit, but I think if he had just played his own game like he has in the past, he's beat me on that stage, he probably would have played a little bit better, and the game would have probably been a little bit closer.
Yeah, interesting that one. I think he again probably echoed similar to what both myself and seemingly quite a few in the chat room have said as well. Just again, I've not shared my or reshared my prediction for that one. I had that as a Gerwyn Price 10-7 win. So another one where I've managed to pick the right winner, but probably not picked the way the game has gone. And now we will move into, I think for many darts fans, what was it was the headline game in that it was the last one on, but you know, this was one of the games that everybody was most looking forward to. I would probably say throughout all of the first round of the draw. I think this was certainly the one that seems to have, you know, among my group of darts colleagues and friends, the one that's had the most conversation points and the most views where people thought one way or the other. I had it as a Dave Chisnall 10-8 win. I'm dead pleased to be proven wrong. Gary Anderson really solid through that game. I think there was decent spells of it where I think Anderson did look a bit vulnerable, but Chizzy was just absolutely miles away from being able to capitalize on it and get really a decent foothold in that game. You know, Chizzy started well, but then after the break, there was 4 on the bounce from Gary. As soon as Gary got to 6-3 up, it just looked like Gary could present Chizzy with as many chances as he wanted, and Chizzy wouldn't be able to really capitalize them. And then we go into the next leg, where in the 10th leg to go into the break, Gary pinged the 180 followed by the 165. Just absolutely amazing stuff. Like really beautiful, well timed. And then I think, you know, going into that break 7-3 up probably will have done a lot psychologically to both players. Chizzy surprised me a little bit coming back and putting a couple together, looking like he was going to mount a comeback coming back after the break. Broke Gary, started to edge his way back, but then that 115 check out from Gary again, just really just snippets of really top class darts from Gary Anderson. And once he got that 115 to go 8-5 up, I think it was it was game over, I think, for everybody. I think everybody watching, everybody on stage. Again, a little bit like some of the other games, is that is the big difference between match play and when we see in set play, we see in the World Championships, is once these players do build up that little gap and they know they are just, you know, 1 or 2 holes of throw away and they've got those breaks in the bank, it does, the whole momentum of the game just starts to swing, which is what we love about the match play, and it's what we love about coming to the Winter Gardens every year. I think the guys might still be working on getting a bit of a few words from Gary. If that drops in, I will, of course, share it with you all. Have a quick look back into the chat room. Good evening, Preston. Bob's in as well. Let's have a quick look and see what we've had in there. Guy played well throughout the game because he wasn't throwing down. Yeah, I completely agree, Bob. I think you're absolutely bang on with that. Gary sort of played well without looking at amazing. I still think he looked a little bit like he could be got at. I think, you know, his interview straight after, he said he's always asked about how his practice is going, and, you know, I think he claims he's doing enough but not loads, which, you know, whether he's doing that or not. About Chizzy's point, I'm not sure. But he certainly suffered tonight. There was certainly one bounce out that looked absolutely absurd. I'm not sure how it happened. I rewound and watched the slow motion replay a couple of times, and it looked to defy physics to me. But, you know, he certainly suffered from it. But I don't think in reality we could point to that game and say Chizzy lost because of bounce outs. I just think that he couldn't quite find his action. I think it broke down a little bit, and Gary was just consistent and worked his way through that game and played really well. And I think, you know, coming out of this little section of the draw, obviously we do have our next round of matches that we can see, and we can see Gerwyn Price against Joe Cullen, which is a huge game. 2 massive big box office players playing each other early in this round, and then in the other game we've lost 2 seeds. So we've lost the 2 seeds. We've lost Rob Cross at number 5 seed, and we've lost Dave Chisnall at number 12 seed. So we've got a second round match there with no seed in it. So Daryl Gurney and Gary Anderson, one of them is going to be in the quarterfinals. So one of those 2 is going to have a quarterfinal shot against either Gezi Price or Joe Cullen. So seed's gone already. That draw's completely opened up, and we are going to get an unseeded player in the quarters, guaranteed. Really exciting. I love the match play. Good evening, Sean. Evening, everybody else in the chat room that's come along and joined us. If you've joined us, say hello, please. Again, I'll reiterate, I am on my own, so I'm relying on you all, really, for certainly as we come to the next part of tonight's show, where we're going to look at tomorrow's games. Because, and this is what we love about the match, we've got an afternoon session and an evening session, which is very, very exciting. So we'll come to you in a minute, Daz, about what I and the rest of the world thinks about what's going to happen in that game. I think any of you in the chat room that know me probably know exactly what my prediction will be already on that one. Let's have a quick look then. Good evening, Juanita. Good evening from Australia. What time is it over there? It's getting late over here. Is it very... I know I always have to ask this. Is it very, very late, or is it very, very early? I know it's probably one of the 2. So I've put another little graphic on the screen. I've pulled that off from Wikipedia. I apologize if it's not particularly well presented. I think it might have broken up a little bit because I've tried to make it as big as I can to fill the screen. What we'll do, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's just go through top to bottom. We'll go through the games in order, and then we'll take predictions from everybody in the chat room. I'll give you my predictions. 6:39 on a Sunday. Goodness me, that is an early start. I've got 3 kids, and I never see 6:39 on a Sunday. That's my one day of the week where I don't see 6:39. But well done on your commitment for getting up and joining us in our celebration of the opening day of the match play. So we've got an afternoon session. We've got 4 games in the afternoon. We've got 4 games in the evening, and the big guns are coming to play. So opening game, and please, for each one, stick your predictions in the chat room. We'll have a little chat through them. We've got Danny Noppert against Martin Schindler. Now, I think this one, obviously Danny Noppert, the seeded player going into this, but I think this one is going to be tight, and I think it's going to go really deep. And my prediction is going to be Danny Noppert beats Martin Schindler 12-10. I think it goes all the way to the end, and I think Danny Noppert just gets over the line. Let's have a see. So we've got Tyler going Noppert 10-6. Preston's going Schindler 10-8, 10-9. Bob's gone Schindler 10-7. Juanita's gone Schindler. Else, we've got Schindler 10. So it looks like me and Tyler are definitely in the minority with a prediction for Danny Noppert. There seems to be a lot of love for Martin Schindler in the chat room. I think what's interesting is everybody other than Tyler has got it tight. I think everybody thinks this is going to be a bit of a back and forth. I think we're going to see early breaks both ways. I think we're going to see some big scores. And I do think we're going to see some big combination finishing in that match, more so from Danny Noppert. So the second game of the afternoon session, and I'm not so sure this one's going to be as tight. Connor's gone with me. He's got a late extra time win for Danny Noppert with a 13-12. Every leg available, Connor's going for there. So the second game of the night, we've got Dirk van Duijvenbode against Kim Huybrechts. This one for me, again, I think it's a little bit straightforward. I think we're going to see something a little bit similar to what we saw tonight from Gerwin Price. And I think it's going to be a comfortable Dirk van Duijvenbode 10-4. I'll give Kim an extra leg to what Stephen Bunting managed to get tonight, but I will go Dirk with a comfortable 10-4. Tyler loves an underdog. Tyler backing the unseeded players all throughout this. Els has gone, what's he gone with? He's gone with a Dirk 10-5. Juanita's gone Dirk 12-10, which is a lot closer than Luke, who's gone 12-2. That's an absolute monster win from Dirk if that comes through. Preston has agreed with me exactly with a 10-4 prediction for Dirk van Duijvenbode, and Bob has also gone Dirk van Duijvenbode 10-5. It seems that the consensus within the chat room is that that's going to be a very comfortable Dirk van Duijvenbode win. Now, I think this next game is going to potentially be the biggest split in the room, the biggest split of the chat room as to who we think will win. And I am struggling with this one, if I'm honest. And I've probably ummed and ahed with this one ever since the draw came out. I think we can predict who Juanita's going to go with for the winner. But do I agree with her? Let me have a drink. Yes, I do. I think it's a really tough one, but I think it's a Damon Heta 10-7 win. I think it's a Damon Heta 10-7 win. I am reliably informed, and I don't think there's a source more reliable than the source that informed me, that we're in for a bit of a treat for Damon Heta's walk-on. I think we're going to see something in line with what we've seen recently at the European Tour events. So that could be quite exciting. Let's have a little look, see what we've got in the chat room. Bob's gone Heta 12-11. We can't have 12-11. We can have 12-10. I don't think can we have a 12? We can't have a 12-11, can we? We have a 12-10. 2 legs until we get to a decider. Mitchell's gone Heta 10-8. I tell you what, I didn't think it would be as one-sided as this so far. Juanita, of course, has backed Damo. Luke's gone 10-6 Heta. Preston, first person in the chat room that's pulled it the other way. And he's gone for 11-9. There's a few people looking into these extra legs here. Els has gone 13-12 to whoever eats more Weetabix, heads or tails. Yeah, I tend to agree. You know, I am coming down on the side of Damon Heta. The TV major experience or TV major record plus experience aside, I just think he's in really good form at the minute. And if he can, what I've noticed is, and I initially was a bit of a critic. Not so much a critic, but let's say a bit sceptical of the European Tour walk-ons. I've since been convinced, very convinced, that they are a bigger part of him feeling far more comfortable in those environments, and him being in a position where he can just be very comfortable, very honest with himself as to, you know, what he's enjoying, enjoy a bit of crack with the crowd, get on stage, throw some darts and play well. And we've seen in the European Tour events him play some exceptionally good darts. And I think he carries that form in tomorrow. I think it'd be tough, but I think Damon Heta gets the job done. So next game, James Wade against Chris Dobey. Let me just quickly go through everyone that's picked Wade and bar them from the chat room. No, honestly, I will take your predictions, even if they're nonsense. So let's have it. I mean, of course, I'm going to pick a Chris Dobey win. And I think he does it not really comfortable, but I think he does it well. I think it's a 10-6. 10-6 Chris Dobey for me. I think we lose another seed. And I think, yeah, that's a good, solid win, I think, for Chris Dobey tomorrow. Let's have a look. Bob's got Wade 10-7. Sorry, Bob, you're wrong. Let's have a look. Coin toss. For Wade and Dobey, hoping for Wade for old time's sake. You can't live in the past, Preston. It's the future. We're in the future now, and the future, as Els know, is a Chris Dobey victory. 10-7 prediction there for Chris Dobey. Jack has got 10-7. Wade breaks early and holds his own legs, and yeah, that is the risk, and that is where James Wade can play well in this format, because once you've got that early break and once you are ahead, it's very difficult for people to break you down and then catch you back up. It's not like set play where all of a sudden it can turn around, you can grab a set and the whole game's changed. Once you are 2-3 legs behind and that break's gone in, if you've won the bull, then you've got a break. It can be a long way back. And so, you know, if someone does build that lead up, then you could be right. When Juanita's gone Wade 10-6, I thought we were mates. We've got another Wade 10-8. So the consensus from the chat room does seem to be a James Wade win. Well, we'll have a chat tomorrow night. If you're all in tomorrow, and you can ridicule me, I suppose, if I am wrong. Before we move on to the evening session, because we've got an afternoon and evening session coming in, what I am just going to slip in, because we talked about him at length and we all a little bit of a glow up as to how good it was to see Gary Anderson win tonight. We are just going to get Gary's interview in and see what he made of that victory now.
Oh, you know me. I like a wind up. You know, people call me this and call me. I love a wind up. If I can wind somebody up and they bite, I'm going to keep going. It's that thing. No, it's just a few of my mates say, that's you, Gary. You're done. What you got to do now that you're retired? You're not in this, you're not in that. Is that right? Yeah, okay. Right, well, I've nicked this one. You know, I've got into the match play. I don't think I was close at the start of the season, at the start of the year. So, yeah, pat on the back for getting here.
But I know you do, like, pat on the back, just getting here is not enough, is it? Now you've got to kick on. You've won a Pro Tour this year. You've got to a TV final at the World Cup. Is now the next step winning one of these big ones again?
It'd be nice. It's been a while, but nah. Listen, I'm not going to count the chickens. You know, we'll get up there. I'm enjoying what I'm doing just now. You know, there's no pressure on me whatsoever. And if I can turn up and just play darts, if I can play good darts, like I used to play, It's just little things, you know. People say, you're done, you're past, but when they say it, kind of, it gets them a go a bit, and I try to push it a bit more.
If anybody out there is playing drinking games for every time Gary Anderson says he just wants to play darts, now is the time to have a drink. There we go. Gary Anderson just wants to play darts. Right. Tomorrow's evening session. Again, some interesting, maybe not as tight as we've got in the afternoon. I think we're probably going to see a few more landslides in terms of the predictions in this one. But the opening match tomorrow evening, we've got Nathan Aspinall against Krzysztof Ratajski. Now, me personally, I think that we've probably got a tale of two sort of players, or two players in different form at the minute. I think Nathan Aspinall is very much on the up, on an upward trajectory. And whilst I don't think Krzysztof Ratajski is particularly on a downward trajectory, I think he's sort of middling. I think he's a bit stagnant in his progress at the minute. We did see a superb run from him. Was it 2 years ago? We saw him semi-final in the Matchplay, and I saw him. I was there for the semi-final that Ratajski played in the Winter Gardens. We know he's got some good form in that venue, but I just think that Nathan Aspinall will have far too much for him. Preston agrees as well, as he's got the Asp winning comfortably 10-6. Mitchell is going the other way with a long game, and a Ratajski grinding out that battle against Nathan Aspinall 11-9, and we know Asp loves a battle. Luke's got a 10-4 Asp win. Tyler's got a 10-7 Asp win. And then we've got Els and Juanita with 10-8 and 10-6 Nathan Aspinall wins. So we've got lots of people. We've got Bob as well in there with a 10-7 Aspinall win. So we've got a lot of love for the in there. And I think everybody on my side there with that prediction. And I think we're probably going to see a similar reaction here as we look at Luke Humphreys against Jose de Souza. Now, for me, Luke Humphreys at the minute is without a shadow of a doubt one of the best darts players on the planet. We've seen some exceptional stuff from him lately. Really, really high level. I think he's ranked at the minute, I think, is he 6th in the world? But in reality, is holding his own with anybody up there in those 5 positions above him, and arguably will move soon into one of those places at the very top end of the sport. I'm going to go with a very comfortable Luke Humphreys 10-4, because I think Jose's scoring won't allow Luke Humphreys to run completely rampant. But I think Humphreys will just come out fast. And again, in this leg play format, just get a break early, get a few legs in the bank, and then just kick on from there. And I think Jose, we know he's a bit fragile. He certainly his counting's a bit fragile. And under pressure, a few legs back could all just get a little bit too much in that environment. Let's have a look and see what the folks in the chat room are thinking. We've got Preston with a Luke 5-10. Els as well with a Luke 5-10. We're seeing a pattern here. Juanita's Humphreys 10-6. Tyler's gone Humphreys 10-6. Bob, you're a maniac. Jose de Souza 11-9. I mean, if I guarantee you, if that happens, in order for that game to get to 11-9, that will have to be the game of the match. It'll have to be the best match. I think if that game goes 11-9, Jose de Souza victory, we would have seen some unbelievable things to get us to that point. Jack has also gone with, we've got some Jose shouts late in the day. Jack's gone Jose running riot earlier, but losing 10-8. Luke's picked Jose de Souza as well. So not as much of a big swing in the chat room as I thought we would see there. No, I like Brendan Dolan. But the fact that I like Brendan Dolan means I will stretch to giving him... Oh, it sounds harsh, this. I'll give him 2. 10-2, Michael van Gerwen. Michael van Gerwen looked terrifying the other weekend, like an absolute darts monster again. And if he can carry that form, if Michael van Gerwen wins the ball and then breaks, I just think he'll just run absolutely riotous. Brandon Dolan's a great darts player, and I think he's a really top bloke. But I just think he could just be really unfortunate to bump into an absolutely on fire Michael van Gerwen on the wrong day. And I think it's a really, really comfortable, absolute MVG smasher. Els has got MVG 10-4. Jack has got MVG 10-3. Juanita's got MVG 10-5. Luke has gone for it. Luke has made the bold prediction of an MVG 10-0 whitewash, serving the Blackpool bagel. Bob's got MVG 10-4. Nobody in the chat room brave enough to stick their neck out and go with Brendan Dolan for this one. But wouldn't that be an upset? Wouldn't that open up another large section of the draw? It would be interesting. I've not picked, I don't think, I have. I was going back to see if I've picked a seed to lose yet, and I have, because James Wade's getting beat by Chris Dobie. But beyond that, I haven't picked any other seeds to fall tomorrow. And the final game, we are coming to the end, coming towards the back end of our little chat this evening. The last game tomorrow will see the world number 1 and reigning world champion, Michael Smith, take on a man with more history, or certainly more appearances at the Winter Gardens than pretty much anybody else that's still left turning up to play this year. Mr. Steve Beaton has managed to get himself into the mix this year, working his way back up the rankings this year. Steve Beaton having a really, really good year this year, both on the Pro Tour and in some of the bigger events as well. It's difficult though, isn't it, to not pick Bully Boy. He is chucking a new set of darts, but it's Michael Smith, isn't it? Michael Smith in a big event. 6 or 7. 10-7. Steve Beaton. Love Steve Beaton. Right, 10-7 to Michael Smith, I think. Let's have a quick look in the chat room, see what everybody else has got. So, Els has got... He's got Smith at 10-5. Juanita's got Smith 10-7. Luke, is it like you're a man? Your predictions are... If your predictions are right... Now, everyone, please gamble responsibly. But if Luke has put 50 pence on his predictions and they come in, he's probably buying a mansion somewhere because his predictions are outrageous. 10-3, Steve Beaton. Luke is predicting. Jack has got a 10-5 Bully Boy victory. Yankee is going 12-10. He's having Steve Beaton grind out Michael Smith in extra time. And we've got another 10-5 on there at the end. We've got some... did you know there's more in there than I thought? We've got some real threat, it seems. I've only picked 1 seed to fall tomorrow, but among the chat room, we've got 4 or 5 sets of predictions where we think some seeds are going to fall. I think we are in for a classic day tomorrow. I think we're going to see some unbelievable darts. Regardless of which seeds come through and who wins which games, I just think the players that we're going to play that we're going to see tomorrow, there is some potential for some absolute box office headline stuff. So I will bid you all a very good night, and I will be back again. I think I will be accompanied by Jack Gobby Garwood tomorrow, but we will be with you every night this week. Thank you very much to Betfred, our sponsors, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thanks for all your help. It's been a bit of a strange one going solo, so I really appreciate you all getting stuck in the chat room and contributing and giving me a little bit of a two-way conversation, because without that, it is just me talking to myself in a small room, which is probably worrying. Take care, everybody. See you all again tomorrow. Good night.